Let's go Minnesota Vikings. Fogo, baby. Will Fries at guard, 5 years, $88 million. Ryan Kelly, 2 years, $18 million to play center. They're just stealing Colts offensive linemen. They're also grabbing, imagine this one, say 3 years ago, if we said, hey, Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave are coming in to the same team, rushing the passer.
Yeah.
Jonathan Allen, 3 years, $60 million. Javon Hargrave, 3 years, $30 million. Isaiah Rodgers to play corner, 2 years, $15 million. They also re-signed Byron Murphy Jr., 3 years, $66 million. Harrison Smith agreed to come back for year 14 or 15 at a little over $10 million a year. The money has been spent by Kwesi and the Vikings.
Yeah. So if Dallas are a vegan in desperate need of a steak, then the Vikings went to Fogo, right? They got nothing but meat, and they they deliberately have kind of eschewed the salad bar, right? Like, we're not wasting the valuable stomach space on salad at Fogo. We're here for the meat, picanha, lamb chops, filet. Like, that's what we're doing here. So yeah, they've thrown a ton of money at this. And again, I think a little bit like Green Bay, albeit with significantly more volume. It's like a mixed bag, right? I think upgrading the offensive line is significant. It's important for them. I think it was coming based off the way their season ended. It was like a shock to the system that, hey, this interior that you've been hiding for a while actually is a problem. Like, you're going to need to fix that if you want to beat the best teams in the NFL. So Will Fries, Ryan Kelly bringing in 2/5 of a really good offensive line. Now, each one of those guys got a little bit of question marks about him, right? Will Fries, it's a sample size thing. We haven't seen that much play of him playing at that level. And then Ryan Kelly's been banged up a lot since he was sort of one of the best centers in the NFL. So there's some risk attached to it, but those are two players that should upgrade that offensive line significantly if they're both playing. The defensive line thing is really interesting to me. Hargrave, I think, should make an immediate impact and be a massive upgrade for them, like the best pass rushing defensive tackle they've had for years. Allen is more of a question mark because, he's not played at his best for a while now. He had that one insane game where he came back from what was literally reported as a season-ending pec injury for him last year, made it back before the regular season, and then had an amazing game against Detroit in the playoffs where he was a huge difference maker there. That was like vintage Jonathan Allen, like back to his best, but only for that one game. Like, wasn't that before that? Wasn't that after that? So I don't know what version of Jonathan Allen they're getting, but if they can get, again, anything like his best play, it's a huge upgrade. But that, 3 years, $60 million for him based off his recent tape is an overpay.
Yeah. I mean, I think I made this point the other day. Neither guy, if you're going to look at PFF run defense grades, which I think are legit to look at, neither guy is good in that area. And I think Minnesota's banking on schematically working around that. They do a good job crowding the box, having the extra man to make a tackle in and around the line of scrimmage. I think they can scheme around that, I think, and that's part of their strategy. I think when you look at Allen's decline in production, though, I mean, he did get hurt. Last year was a small sample size. Like, his PFF pass rush grades, it peaked at 90 in 2021, 81, 77. Last year down to 68. So has there been a decline? Yeah, but I wouldn't even. Last year's a little over half a season worth of data, basically. If he's a high 70s, low 80s pass rusher, that's good. I mean, that's good even for the price, especially if you're going to limit his the need for him to play the run. He's not a hold the point type of guy. He's not going to make a ton of not even plays against the run. He's just going to get moved off the ball. And I think he'll be effective as a pass rusher. I think the more you use the phrase smoke and mirrors for Brian Flores' defense a couple of years ago. And I think if you look at the last 2 years of moves, the whole organization is saying we want less of that. We want less trickeration. We want more 4-man rush, go get the quarterback, play some man coverage behind it like Flores used to always do in Miami, and less of, hey, we're sending 5, we're sending 6. Do we have that? Absolutely. Can we play smoke and mirrors? Yes. But we can also play we're just going to rush 4 and play sound coverage on the back end. And now Minnesota, the fact that they could trot out Jonathan Grenard, Andrew Van Ginkel, Jonathan Allen, and Javon Hargrave on passing downs. And, oh, by the way, Dallas Turner, last year's first-round pick, him and Van Ginkel, very athletic. They can drop into coverage. so many options now for Brian Flores. That's what they've given. And if there's one thing that defines Brian Flores' defense, it is variation, mixing it up. We see him as this heavy blitz guy, but that's not what he was in New England. That's not what he was in Miami. I think he can do it all, and I think he can adjust to the personnel. So I think Kwesi's just given so many excellent pass rushing options that the Vikings are going to be very difficult on second and third down, on passing downs. Very difficult. And they've been good on early downs, once again, from a run defense standpoint. So I love the options that they've added on the defensive side. I think both Hargrave and Allen will make an impact as pass rushers.
I mean, that defensive front should be nasty. Like, you've got a ton of pass rushers. You've got a ton of guys that can now get after the quarterback and win one-on-ones. They're probably, I think, going to maintain that. It's not necessarily a super high blitz strategy, but they're, I think, going to remain like confusing to defenses, right? They may only send 4, but they might not be the 4 you're expecting them to send. You've got Ivan Pace Jr., who's a real blitz threat as a linebacker as well. My concern for them is still the secondary is still like an issue. I mean, Harrison Smith and Josh Metellus are good safeties. They've got Theo Jackson still there as well. I think they can still go 3 guys with that safety group. They paid a ton of money to keep Byron Murphy Jr. Like, Byron Murphy's been pretty good for them. I don't know if he's been as good as they're paying him. It sort of felt like that's a deal they were trying to get done for a long time. And it kind of felt like Byron Murphy won that negotiation. You know what I mean? Like, that price just seemed to keep going up and up and up. And eventually they're like, the secondary, like the corner spot is so barren as it is. We just can't let him out of the building, because otherwise we're going to go get like 3 corners. So I think they just went to where he wanted them to go, and they've ended up paying him a ton of money.
It's rookie contract prices. That's what we're paying here. That's what New England's paying. That's what the Commanders are paying. It's rookie contract prices. You can afford, because you're just going to have extra cap money sitting around. You're just going to have money sitting around.
Right, but they don't have. I mean, they don't have endless cap money. Like, still not a reason necessarily to go give, like, he's now one of the best paid corners in the NFL, and I don't know that he's anywhere near that level. And they still need 2 corners potentially.
No, they brought in Isaiah Rodgers. They have Mekhi Blackmon coming back off of injury. If they had to start the season today, that's not a bad group. I disagree. I don't think that's a bad group.
I don't think that's good. I mean, number one, Mekhi Blackmon, I think he's their best corner, but he's working on a really small sample size of any kind of play, and he's coming back from an ACL injury. Isaiah Rodgers, the second he came into the lineup for the Philadelphia Eagles, was immediately the target guy on that defense. Like, Rodgers was lit up the second he came into the lineup for that defense. Now, part of that is because, okay, he's clearly the guy you would want to go after if the alternative is the players that they had outside. But I would not want Isaiah Rodgers starting for me. So I think they still need at least 1 starting corner, maybe 2, if Mekhi Blackmon is not able to come back and hit the ground running.
I mean, I would still invest. I would still invest in corner. Sorry, I thought you were done. I would still invest in corner, but I think they'll be okay if this is what they're trotting out there, especially with their pass rush and what they have up front. So I don't know. I like where they are. Everybody they signed comes with risk. So we got to put both sides of this. I like the moves, given where Minnesota is, where their needs are, where things may have fallen apart last year. I think the defensive interior was a massive need. They addressed it. The offensive line, the interior of the O-line, was a massive need. They addressed it. Because it's free agency, of course, it all comes with risk. Will Fries is essentially 2 years out of 4 as a starter, and his best play came in a 5-game sample before getting hurt last year. There's risk attached there. If you told me a year ago Will Fries is going to make $88 million over 5 years, or told anybody in the NFL that was the case, they'd say you're crazy. So that was 5 games ago, by the way. So risk attached to it. Ryan Kelly, a little bit older, injury concerns. And as you mentioned before, some decline in Jonathan Allen's game, some decline in Javon Hargrave's game, plus injuries for both players. Obviously, there's downside to all of these moves, but there's a lot of upside in a lot of these moves as well. And that's, I think, where Minnesota's playing right now. A 14-win team just spent a lot of money on players that, even if 2 out of the 4 make a big impact, the Vikings have a better team next year. Even if it's not, it's going to be difficult for it to show up in wins, as we've talked about.
Yeah, I mean, the other moves, obviously, I really like bringing back Aaron Jones at running back. it's basically $10 million a year for him. He makes a difference to them when he's on the field. Now, again, he's an injury risk, an injury question mark, but that gives them some flexibility, right? A lot of people were saying the Vikings have to go draft a running back high in this draft. They don't have many draft picks. They're only picking like twice in the first 3 rounds, and they've only got 4 picks total. So I don't know that they have the ability to just spend 24 on a running back. Now they don't have to because you bring back Aaron Jones. I think that's an important move for them. And then this whole, Darnold thing, letting him walk frees up a ton of money to go and spend like this, to go and, to go to Fogo and blow the budget on all the stakes. So, that's a decision they have to make. That's a factor in this as well. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.